guys so much for being here. As always, take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It is, I discovered, National Customer Service Week, if I recall correctly. Let me just double check that to make sure I got that right. But that got me thinking about what is Customer Service Week as it relates to Freemasonry. What does it mean for Freemasons to have a National Customer Service Week? What is customer service in a Masonic context? And I do think it's relevant. I mean, Freemasonry does not have customers, at least in the traditional sense. However, that is not to say that Freemasonry does not have, pick your term, right? I think you could use the term customers to describe what Freemasonry has, not in terms of membership, but certainly in terms of its interaction with the public. Those public members of the public taking tours of our buildings, those quote unquote customers who are contacting Masonic lodges for the first time and are interested in joining, those charitable groups who are customers in that they're looking for or receiving donations. I think it's interesting to think about that, right? Like if I travel to a new town, a new city, and visit a new Masonic lodge, what type of service am I receiving? I will not block you, Lon, although I'm not sure what it is you need a wrench for. You always need a wrench. What's going on, Smokey? How's it going? Received. I hope that things are treating you well, Smokey, and you well, Lon. Thank you for being here. Dad, thank you for being here as well. I hope that you are doing well also. And to all my Canadian brethren or friends or family who'll be watching this, happy almost Thanksgiving. Waiting to hear my name. Well, do what your doctor tells you, but I'm glad you're at the doctor's office. Well, I guess it shouldn't say that. I'm glad you have the ability to go to the doctor's office while you are ill to get treated. A lot of people don't have that luxury. So I'm glad you're at the doctor's office. Do what your doctor says. We want you around for a long time, Smokey, and that means listening to your doctor. But thank you for being here. That counts, Lon. One of them hiring you for a job. That's an example of it. A lot of people may not have any examples of Masonic customer service, but I am thinking of, did you ever go to a Masonic lodge building for a tour? Did you ever, and this happens unfortunately, contact a Masonic lodge, ask about joining, and did not hear anything back? Welcome, Andre from Moldova. Thank you for being here. Well, your wife is a smart lady. Tell her I said so. Andre, thank you for joining from Moldova. If you're new to the stream, I think you are, please hit the like and subscribe button. Let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry. The first hour is always just me hanging out. And then I was thinking they were talking about Freemasonry and customer service. Everybody who is... Well, it probably means the lodge is very busy. Or are being lazy, or are just not keeping up with their correspondence is the most likely thing. Even if, let's say, somebody calls or writes to a lodge and says they're interested in joining, and for whatever reason the lodge doesn't feel like they would be a good fit, maybe, or maybe the lodge is struggling, maybe the lodge doesn't think it can have new applicants at this moment, the lodge still has a responsibility to call back to the person or write back to the person and say, first acknowledge the receipt of the letter. Next, say, we can't help you at this time. You don't have to give a reason. and then try to find another Masonic lodge in the area. So say you may be interested in checking out this Masonic lodge, which maybe will help you more, right? It's just an example of bad customer service, which does happen, unfortunately. What is Freemasonry? Freemasonry is a civic and social group, a fraternal organization, which has its roots back to the 15th and 16th centuries in medieval Europe. But think social group, think social club. Um, I would be a good shine. What's a shine cut? You mean shrine? There's probably Freemasonry in Moldova. I can't think off the top of my head if there is or not, Andre, but I believe there might be some therein. Well, I wish you best of luck with those efforts, Mark. Please hit like and subscribe, I guess. And once again, we are live. How's it going, Mr. Keeps? What is new? What is exciting? I should be very soon. I actually have all of the hours I need, by the way, to be able to do community chats and memberships. The problem is, for some reason, some of my hours are not coming through yet. They're not being processed, which is a pain in the butt, but I'm working on it. This guy is so, I believe me, if you knew people who knew me, they would say I'm not chill all the time by any means. I'm chill online because online is not the same as in real life, right? I love all you guys, and you're my, as viewers, I consider you guys in some ways part of my Square and Compass family. However, I always remember to understand that when people are trolling online or saying silly stuff online, you have to be a crazy person to take it personally. And also, honestly, if you were to get upset every time somebody says something foolish online about you, you should not be in the business of putting content online because that's human nature. That not say human nature, that's the nature of the internet. 100% of the time, there will be a percentage of people who are saying dumb stuff. So, it's just kind of the nature of the beast. But thank you, Mark, anyways, for being here. Please hit like and subscribe. I'm glad you're still doing phone checkups, Dad. You keep doing what your doctor tells you. I know you said you have an appointment coming up in a couple weeks. Just make sure you keep your fall alert button on you and all that good jazz. My granddad was a grandmaster. Welcome, Boof. I think you're new, so please hit like and subscribe. I would love to learn more about Freemasonry in Australia. One of the things I'm very sad about is the fact that I don't know much about Freemasonry in Australia. Yes, Lord Farquaad, that is I. Stephanie Nivens, welcome back. I feel like it's been a little while since you've been on the stream. How's it going? I hope things are going well for you. I mean, to me, there's probably a lot of possible benefits to being able to do stories, or sorry, to be able to do appointments and tell your story to a doctor through either Zoom or phone calls. You don't need to necessarily, travel. It's a little bit less expensive. All that good stuff. I think there's a lot of value to it. So, Night Owl, I have not right now, but I would love to do that. How do you feel about rare earth magnets for resist? I do not know anything about that, Night Owl. How do you use rare earth magnets for resistance training? I believe in training, like being healthy. Welcome back, Rooney. How's it going? I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. Please, everybody joining us for the first time, hit that like and subscribe button. Night Owl, what do you mean by rare earth magnets for resistance training? All is good. Oops. I got some exciting news, so I'm looking forward to showing that stuff off soon. Well, right now it's Creature Feature on AMC Fear Fest. Not that I'm watching it at the moment. However, I do love Friday the 13th. Um, as we know, as everybody maybe knows who's been watching me. Snake Eater, WTF, Llama on the Plane. Maybe I do eat crayons for the flavor, Llama on the Plane. You don't even know. And Snake Eater, how's it going? Thank you for being here. WTF, what the F we're talking about is Freemasonry. So let me know if you have any questions or thoughts on Freemasonry. Same thing with Liam on the Plane. And please hit the like and subscribe button to both of you. I did watch Event Horizon. I liked it a lot. I thought it was awesome. Um, very, very much enjoyed it. It's one of those for a lot of people. It was like a gateway movie into horror sci-fi. Interestingly enough. Well, the news I can't share it quite yet, but I do have some exciting news, which I'm looking forward to sharing soon. I just can't share it quite yet, but just check out my live streams. I should be able to share it by the end of the week. They're making sequels of everything nowadays, Rooney, so you never know. We might very well see that come back. Emma B, I know I look like one of those Easter Island stone heads. I've grown to accept it. Just keep the like and hit the like and subscribe button, anyways, Emma. And thank you for being here. Why so secret? Well, because I want to wait till it's officially posted online, which should be soon. And once another group posts it, an announcement, then I can post it as well. But I want to wait for them to make the announcement first. Plus, it gives you guys a reason to keep coming back and checking it out. I do not believe aliens are coming to my house. However, if they were, then they are welcome to join me. I'd rather they not come into my house, but come into my stream. Imagine if my stream was the first one to have aliens on the stream. I'd be rich. I have been on the Masonic Roundtable podcast in the past. So I was on one of their probably 4 or 5 years ago now. I was on the Masonic Roundtable podcast. I don't know if my episode is still up or not. Thank you, Emma. Yes, those heads are handsome, as am I. I appreciate that, Emma. How's it going? Thank you for being here. Let me know if you have any questions or thoughts on Freemasonry, or anything else that you guys want to chat about. Today's topic is going to be, once we get an hour in, Freemasonry and customer service. It is National Customer Service Week. How long before we get the big reveal? 3 years from now, I will reveal the treasures of the Knights Templar. But you have to keep watching for 3 years, and you need to get me to 10,000 subscribers. Mr. Gentleman with 3 N's, welcome. Thank you for being here. Jesus Christ loves you regardless. Okay, well, thank you for being here, gentlemen. Please hit like and subscribe. Junior 31mm. Are you a Master Mason, Junior 31? If so, I'm a Mason from Windsor, Ontario. Been a Mason since 2007. Been a Master Mason since 2008. When is Prime Day? Emma, if you don't mind my asking, why does it scare you? Freemasonry and I mean, I think there's an issue with Freemasonry and a lack of networking in general. Really, when I think networking, I think lack of relevance within our communities, and that is a very dangerous thing, in my opinion. How many toilet seats have you sniffed? You have to hit the like button, Jake, and I'll tell you. But I think it's not about charity or business per se. Rather, it's about maintaining the relevance in our relationships between our community members, the public, and our membership. Well, get started, Creston. Mr. Your nose size scares me. Mine too. I got a big nose. What can I say? I've grown to accept it. Well, yeah, Emma, that would be, it's very common in Masonic lodges. Like every year, they'll take pictures of all the membership and then, or at least the officers, and then, hang them up. So you have a record of all your Masons, and all the officers going back however long the lodge has been around. And as long as there's been photography, there's some lodges that are over 300 years old. So they may not have some pictures from the start, obviously. I mean, I can understand that. Certainly, a Masonic building, because they are often very old and in some cases have Gothic architecture, some cases neoclassical. They can be intimidating, I think, especially if you're younger and you're just seeing these giant rooms. But um, hopefully, for me, I've been in Masonic buildings so often and so many times. Um, I always get a sense of peace and comfort within them. But that's because I spend so much time. I can understand if you're very young, the size and kind of the scope of the building could be intimidating, depending on which lodge. I've been to some Masonic lodges that are old farmhouses and have a very cozy atmosphere, but I've been to others where it gets very baroque and big, and kind of you deal with. So I can understand that. I hope you'll give it a second chance, Emma. Um, but I can understand why it might seem a little bit creepy to you, some of these buildings. Um, it is, but still hit like and subscribe. Well, I'm hoping to get my information about clampers soon. I asked somebody to send me information about them, and I'm waiting to hear back because I want to do a podcast interview about clampers. Because it's another one of those fraternal groups and fraternal organizations that I think um, we should be both studying and supporting. Plenty of sand in the sandbox. I want to see everything grow, whether it is clampers, Knights of Columbus, elk, moose, and of course, Freemasonry. I'm sure it's beautiful. I'm sure it's absolutely beautiful. Um, but Emma, let me know, do you search stuff about Freemasonry? Is that how you found us, or how'd you come across this stream? I'm obviously very happy that you are here. Okay, very cool. Well, I'm glad that the scrolling brought you this way. Any other questions you have about Freemasonry? The first hour, I just take questions randomly. The second hour, I tend to have more specific topics. Today's topic, again, is going to be um, customer service and Freemasonry, and how we as Freemasons can have better customer service. Well, it competes with a lot of different things, but I don't think I'd use the term compete, Rooney. I don't like that term because I don't think Freemasonry is in competition with anybody. I think it's not about competition. Rather, it's Freemasonry exists with, because we can coexist. And there was a time when there was no competition, when you had a town that could have five or six or seven or eight different civic groups, all of which were able to grow, all of which were able to have more members. So it doesn't need to be a competition. So when you say fraternal organization, in the simplest term, right, fraternal organization just refers to any organization that has exclusively male membership. And we need to be careful because Freemasonry actually is not that. There is an order of women Freemasons. There is also Eastern Star. And there's even a group for young women, a Masonic group for young women called Rainbow. When I talk about Freemasonry, though, I tend to always talk about the fraternal side of it, because that's kind of what I came up in and what I was initiated in and what I've always seen. I mean, you could say we're homies. That's a good way to look at it. We don't have shared beliefs in, for example, a religious sense. We have Masons who are of all different types of faiths and all different types of beliefs. So long as they believe in a supreme being, beyond that, it's up to them. Um, and we have different political beliefs, different ideologies. Um, well, again, there's Girls Aloud. There's the Order of Women Freemasons, MFB, and there is Eastern Star, both of which are Masonic groups for women. And there's Rainbow. But I would say it's not so much shared beliefs, it's kind of shared philosophies. So, for example, if I joined a football team, me and the other football players would have different religious beliefs, different political beliefs, different ideologies, but we'd all share certain philosophies about things like teamwork, dedication, physical health and fitness, practice. Freemasonry is the same way, right? It's not shared beliefs in a religious or political sense, but there are certain ideas or philosophies that Masons are likely to share. Well, if you want to be a Freemason, then Emma B, you should look into joining the Order of Women Freemasons. They're in England, they're in Ontario, they're in British Columbia. I do not know where they are in the States, which states have them, but I know some do. So look at Order of Women Freemasons. Or you can look at Eastern Star as well. Um, Something of the rose too, right? Well, I mean, there's sub. Oh, like for women's groups, I don't know. There's Job's daughters, but I've never heard anything related to. There's Rose Qua, there's Sub Rosa. In that case, Emma B, there may not be an Order of Women Freemasons, or it may have existed and then uh, gone dark. It just depends on because Freemasonry is suffering everywhere, as is the Order of Women Freemasons. But the other thing you can look at is Eastern Star, which may exist there in New Mexico. Having a family member who has been a Freemason should help you join if you're interested in it, right? Or if you're not, then just hang out with me on YouTube. That's fine too. Um, but when you talk about I have no idea what keeping the carpet square means, but welcome and thank you for being here. I hope that your day is going well. To everybody watching, actually, we had some people up here who had their messages held for review. Garfield 29. If you're still there, let me know. Member, what is going on? Or M. Bember, what is going on? Thank you for being here. I hope that you'll take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button, and let me know what's new and exciting. First hour is just us hanging out. Second hour, we have specific topics to cover. It is. It is an inverted pentagram. It references, I used to know this, I actually mentioned this yesterday. 5 women of the Bible, Esther, Ruth, I can't think of the other ones, and their 5 virtues. Um, so welcome Billy Bob Bo. I think you're new to the stream. Please hit like and subscribe. Ali, I'm trying to do this for a living. Please help me by going to my Patreon and giving me some money. I'd appreciate it. Or if you don't want to do that, just like and subscribe or become a Patreon member for free and help me make this possible. No, you do not, Emma. Freemasonry is not a religion. You have to believe in a supreme being, but we have Christian, Muslim, Jewish, First Nations, or indigenous, spiritual, like me. I don't necessarily have a faith per se, but I believe in a supreme being. Um, LJ, I'm working on it, LJ. Become a Patreon. You can help me out. Billy Bob, I'm very sorry to hear that the Masons destroyed your family. Um, If you're agnostic, the best thing to do at that point is speak to the lodge, explain your beliefs, and let them decide. Because the term supreme being has been it's interpreted so liberally. A lot of people who are probably agnostic have in the past joined. I would say, though, what you need to do is talk to the lodge. Um, Billy, if you want to tell me more or type more about how the Masons destroyed your family, you can let me know. I'm very sorry if that happened. In my experiences, being a Mason for 20 years, I've never seen any lodges destroy any families, but let me know what happened. Well, Rose Qua is a Scottish Rite organization, and then Sub Rosa is a term used for keeping things secret. It's not a Masonic term per se. And there's Rosicrucianism, um, but that's also a separate organization. It is part of the. Sorry, I lost interest when I found out that it's a bunch of men. Captain Blackbird. Sadly, nobody in Freemasonry has ever made me rich. And not so sadly, there's never been any freak offs. So I must be part of the wrong organization because clearly my organization is very, very boring. Um, who mentioned above? It gets very confusing, Creston. Knights of Malta, it's from this York Rite body. It's from York Rite within Freemasonry. But I don't know much about it because I'm not really conversant in the York Rite. But it's named after a Knights Templar order. Bonehead. Welcome, Bonehead. I do not agree with you on that one, Bonehead. I speak exclusively for myself. I believe there are many worldviews that have love, truth, morals, logic, and science. One of the things I love about Freemasonry is that it's welcoming to men and women of all different worldviews. I think that is its greatest strength. But Bonehead, please hit like and subscribe nonetheless. Um, you go for it, Captain Blackbird. You go for it. Oh my gosh, Bonehead, what a question that is. So again, this is my worldview. I believe in a supreme being. I do not believe supreme being one particular faith, but I believe in a supreme being. Here's what I'd say: the world is ordered. The world is rational. The world makes sense. That rationality and that sense can be best reflected in mathematical and geometric principles. There's a reason why geometry is considered the basis of stonemasonry because it demonstrates an ordered universe. Because we have an ordered universe, it is possible for me to understand not just my actions, but the consequences of those actions and whether they will be positive or negative for myself and the world around me. And based on that, I'm able to make decisions that promote the good of not just myself, but more importantly, the common good of all those around me. So morals come from the ability to understand the universe and to make decisions in accordance with that rationality. Um, do I trust the Bible? I trust people who trust the Bible, if that makes any sense. I don't think I'm the decider of right and wrong. I think I'm able to understand right and wrong based on the rationality of the universe. Um, I have not been alt-right. I was conservative. I wouldn't consider myself that anymore, but kind of came up in politics in the conservative side of things. Billy Bob Bo. So yeah, Dunkin' Donuts. No, no, I have not. Again, clearly I'm joining the wrong groups and the wrong clubs. Really? That's really interesting, Rooney. I had no idea. Do you have any pictures you could send me of some of those buildings that have been strengthened? That's fascinating. It's info at squareandcompass.ca. You can do all three, Captain Blackbird. You can talk to learn, talk to win, or talk lest they be boring. Although I would suggest um, listening for the same reasons are equally as valuable. You can listen to learn. You can sometimes listen to win if your goal is listening with the purpose of or the point of getting something above somebody else or kind of finding a flaw within their argument. And you can listen to others because you find your own thoughts boring. Shoot me off a email. I'd appreciate it. Um, well, Bonehead, you're still welcome on the stream. Same thing with um, Billy Bob Bo. I think it sounds like you disagree with me quite a bit, but you know what? That's okay. I'm still happy to have you on the stream. So thank you for being here. I mean, look, like I said, when people ask me, do I trust the Bible? I trust people who trust the Bible because I've been lucky enough to know a lot of people, a lot of whom are Christians, and a lot of whom are charitable, kind, trustworthy, all that good jazz. Um, and so now there are people who claim to trust the Bible, but act in manners that are immoral or wrong, and that's hypocrisy is not something unique to Christianity. It's part of humans, unfortunately. But I still think it's worth saying whether it be I part of being a Freemason is I'll never be a reviler of any faith, whether it be Christianity, Muslim, or anything else. We're going to give it a bit of time. Like I said, the first hour when I'm doing these streams, I don't have any specific topics. It's just general conversations. And the second hour is when I switch over to specific topics. Today is going to be customer service and Freemasonry. No, no member, I don't, because I think it reflects. I mean, unless you want to argue that just the sexism was inherent to the 15th and 16th centuries, which I suppose you could say, but you can't really judge the 15th century by 2025 standards, right? And this is ultimately meant to be a reflection of the traditions of the order. And it's no different than, for example, having a guys' night out, right? If me and my male friends all want to get together and have a guys' night out, you wouldn't call that sexist, right? Choosing to have a time exclusive for my male friends. So I don't think so. Well, thank you, Captain Blackbird. That's very kind of you. I try my best to have a cool vibe. Again, when you meet me in person, I don't always have the coolest vibe, but online is different. I'm glad that maybe it's given you a more nuanced view. No one has to like Freemasonry. No one has to have any views of Freemasonry, right? Everybody can and should make up their own opinions. Having said that, I hope that giving my experiences and my thoughts maybe helps people, like you said, form a more nuanced view of Freemasonry. At least that's my hope. I suppose that's true, member. Again, I guess my response to that would be um, the guys' night out format, right? If you're deciding, if let's say you're not a Mason, but you decide to go out with exclusively male friends, a bachelor party, whatever it is, that's not a sexist thing. That's you choosing to spend time with your male friends. Um, well, there is no Masonic lodge stance on those things, right? Every Freemason will kind of make his own decision about Crowley and the OTO. Honestly, I never really heard much about Crowley until I came online. To my understanding, I'm not even positive he was a Freemason. Supposedly, Crowley said he was initiated into Freemasonry while he was in Mexico. Um, but I don't think there's ever been any proof that he actually was initiated while he was there. He just said it. It could have been a clandestine lodge. Um, he wrote the Equinox. Anyways, I don't know any Masons who've actually ever even talked to me about Crowley, so I don't know if there's a real opinion about him. My personal view is I'm heavily suspicious as to how much of a Mason he was. Now, at least at the start, when he joined that lodge in Mexico, I think it might have been clandestine, to be honest, or he might have just made it up. Um, OTO used to be Masonic. It branched away from Freemasonry in um, I'm trying to think when it left or separated from Freemasonry officially, Ordo Tempora Orientis. Um, anyways, if you were to join the OTO, you would not be a Freemason, right? It's not a Masonic order. It's not a Masonic body. At least not in Europe, not in North America. Um, there may be people who join the OTO and believe that it is Masonic in its nature, but it's not. I know it's got many similar high rank. It's got many similar degrees to Freemasonry, but there's no Masonic Lodge official position on it, other than if you're a member of the OTO, you're not a Freemason. Um, what do you mean by clandestine? Clandestine refers to Masonic lodges that are not officially recognized, right? And so, for example, if John Smith really loves Freemasonry but wants to start his own group because he doesn't like, I don't know, he doesn't want to join a lodge, he wants to start his own thing, and starts John Smith's Masonic Lodge in his garage, that would be considered clandestine because it's not officially recognized. It didn't get permission to start. It doesn't have permission to operate. It's kind of like if somebody who didn't go to law school and didn't pass a licensing exam called himself a lawyer and started saying he's practicing law. He would be, well, in legal terms, he'd be considered unlicensed, but the Masonic word would be he'd be clandestine. He would be not a legitimate lawyer. And if he tried to go into court and said he was a lawyer, the court would not let him, the court would say you can't call yourself that. With Freemasonry, it's the same thing. I can call myself whatever I want, or John Smith can call himself whatever he wants. However, if he goes to a Masonic lodge and says, I'm a Mason, you need to let me in, if it's not been officially recognized and officially chartered, is the term, then it's clandestine and you wouldn't be able to attend the meetings. Um, well, it's definitely got more legality. I mean, the world ain't what it said it is. You could argue whatever the group is you're referring to, whether it's your grandma's knitting club or the Hells Angels or the Mafia or Freemasonry or the Philosophy Club at the university or a clubhouse created by kids. Ultimately, they are all the same organization, or at least they're all serving the same purpose, which is the desire humans have to feel connected to something and feel as though they are a part of something, which is a wonderful thing, right? The difference is what are those organizations after they provide you with that sense of belonging and sense of fellowship? What are they contributing to the world at large, right? Freemasonry contributes positive things The mafia contributes negative things. Grandma's knitting circle contributes positive things. Hell's Angels, I would argue, contributes negative things. So you're not completely wrong. Um, the world ain't what they said it is. At the end of the day, everything is kind of focusing on these issues. However, those issues um, are focusing on those desires. However, once those desires are met, it's what they're then contributing to the world that matters. And Freemasonry contributes positive things to the world. Um, other groups, maybe not so much. I'm not obligated to insist. I would argue I'm encouraged to assist with Masonic philosophies, but I'm not obligated to assist. I'm encouraged to. However, what I would likely do in that situation, Rooney, is I would actually, if I confirmed he was a Mason, I would have him contact my Masonic lodge directly or bring him to a Masonic meeting and he could make a request for benevolence privately before the meeting starts. And so the lodge would assist him. But, I mean, I would definitely feel encouraged to. I would have to know more information and it would depend on my financial status at the time if I could or if I couldn't. Um, also, maybe if he didn't need financial help, but let's say he needed a place to stay, maybe I would, let him crash on my couch or let him, take him out for dinner. It would just depend on the circumstances. But we're definitely encouraged towards being charitable, uh, without doubt. Oh, but I can't pronounce what that said. Um, can I start over? I just started. I've been doing this for 42 minutes. Start over from where? Please hit like and subscribe. I'll see what I can do. So I think it's not just about groups per se. Friends try to cover for friends. Family tends to cover for family. We as Freemasons, though, are taught very early on, right away, really, that we are not to cover for a brother who is committing crimes or harming the community, right? If a Mason comes to me and says, I murdered somebody, help me hide the body, my responsibility is to contact the authorities about what he did. Um, right? That is my responsibility. Um, so yes, there's always going to be a human desire to help your friends. However, in Freemasonry, that does not go beyond our responsibilities to the community at large. Um, well, again, to get higher up, how? Not, I mean, there would need to be Masons who are higher up first, and there's very few because Freemasonry is the numbers are so dropping, right? It's you joining Freemasonry for networking is kind of silly, right? The numbers of Freemasons that exist in the world is so small, especially in America. The idea that joining Freemasonry will somehow get you into a position of power or authority is just not the case. It's not possible. Right? Freemasons help each other. Of course, we try to. We're brothers, but not at the expense of kind of the laws, nor at the expense of doing what's right. Um, when you say why not, what stops them? Um, just the lack of numbers within the lodge, if nothing else. But also, again, if I run a company, my responsibility, and I'm a Freemason, my responsibility is both to be the best Mason I can be, but also to run the company as well as possible. Um, and so, I could promote another Mason just to do it, but if that harms the company, it'd probably be a foolish thing to do. It is not snowing here, but it is raining. Well, so nothing stops a Freemason from helping each other. Here's what I mean to say, Captain. Um, Freemasons should help each other. We often do, but some people think that Freemasons help each other at the expense of kind of the common good. So, for example, Freemasons will get themselves into position of power or authority, um, based on their connections and not based on their quality or merit. And that's not the case, right? Freemasons will help each other as much as they can, but not at the expense of doing the right thing by quality or merit or not criminality, right? So, for example, um, if I'm a Mason and I have to hire somebody for a job, and there are two applicants, one is a Mason, one is not a Mason, but the non-Mason has the better skills and abilities, I should probably hire the non-Mason. However, with the Mason, I can probably give him some financial support while he looks for another job, for example, if that makes any sense. Um, Survival of speed, you go hit the like and subscribe button. Well, I mean, smooth, harsh, I have no idea what that means, but please hit like and subscribe. As Frederick says, and as Captain Blackbird says, you can definitely like network within Freemasonry. Again, the numbers are lower, so the network opportunities are lessened. But yeah, if you join a Masonic Lodge and you're looking for work and you just so happen to meet somebody at the lodge who is hiring, you know somebody to give your resume to. So there's definitely networking benefits within Freemasonry. However, and there's definitely ways to help your brothers. However, it's not the primary purpose of Freemasonry, nor should it be considered the primary purpose. And I hope I'm not recruiting people. That's not my goal. My goal is just to talk about why I love Freemasonry. Um, Globulus. Freemasonry, not anything else, but I am still here, Globulus. So please hit like and subscribe. I do not have a chimney. I live in a condo, so no chimneys in my combo. But OB, please hit like and subscribe. Um, there you go, Captain Blackbird. I do my best to help you guys out. I hope everybody is doing well. Please, if you're new to the stream, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You're not wrong, Creston. No institution is perfect. I wish Freemasonry was perfect. However, if it was perfect, there'd be nothing left to improve. I mean, the world. Look, if you want to join Freemasonry, the world ain't what it was. I encourage you to reach out to a Masonic Lodge. But at the end of the day, it's completely up to you. Um, I have no idea what Baron Holtz is. I don't give us, so I'm sorry I can't help you. Um, Welcome. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Please take a moment to jump in the chat. Any question about Freemasonry, let me know. I do these streams 1 p.m. and 1 a.m. I'm an actor, or that person you mentioned. I don't know who he is, so I can't help you with that. My my walls are clean because my apartment's gross and dirty. That I need to at least keep my apartment clean. Um, Lest my walls clean, lest it would be completely disgusting. Well, I don't know about definitely him, but you definitely have a subscribe button, so hit the subscribe button. So the pyramid on the dollar bill, a lot of people think it's a Masonic symbol. To my knowledge, the person who designed the dollar bill actually was not a Mason. However, Ben Franklin was. The all-seeing eye, to my understanding, it's a very common motif and a common symbol around the world, not exclusive to Freemasonry. It's meant to represent kind of the supreme being and how he always sees us no matter what we do. The unfinished pyramid, the fact it's unfinished, is meant to represent, a continual building. We're never done building, trying to create a better world. And the pyramid itself, Egyptology, ancient Egypt was huge in early America and also Victorian England. That's when you had people traveling to Egypt, right, to steal mummies or steal Egyptian artifacts. The British Museum is lousy with them. And it just made its way onto the dollar bill, at least to my knowledge. Mike, how are you not hitting like and subscribe button is the better question. Maybe I'm doing it right now. Who knows? Well, you should invest in yourself and your brother, Stephen. but you should also invest in the community at large. I think one of the biggest mistakes we in Freemasonry made a few years ago was we started to focus exclusively in investing in ourselves and not nearly enough on investing in the communities around us, which made us less relevant to the communities, which made people less interested in joining, which et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I, oh, at Smooth Harsh. Eat corn on the cob the long ways. That's one of those wrestling signs famously that they said about Goldberg. Goldberg eats corn on the cob the long way. So, and that was a very funny thing. I mean, I'm giving the information I know. At no point in Freemasonry did we ever discuss the dollar bill. Part of that too is I'm from Canada, right? We have very different currency. Um, so I'm going by what I understand. Again, to my knowledge, the person who designed the dollar bill was not a Freemason. Let me double check. A dollar bill USA Freemason. Yeah, the pyramid design was contributed by a non-Mason, and the use of the all-seeing eye predates its common use in Freemasonry. So, again, it is not, to me, actually Masonic at all. Um, when you say gold and silver, do you mean gold and silver Masonic lodges, or... Well, then, Globulus, ask me some questions. I'll do my best to answer. I can't make any promises I'll be able to answer them all, but let me know. The Canaanites, a lot of, I mean, stonemasonry. I mean, I think you could argue that human beings are dependent on stone for our growth, for our evolution. Without stone and without our ability to manipulate stone, humans would not have evolved. I truly think that is the case. Yeah, Freemasons, Lucky Kumar. It is not a religion. A lot of people think it is, but that's actually incorrect. It is not a religion. Freemasonry welcomes men and women, but men of all different faiths and beliefs, so long as you believe in a supreme being. We have Muslim, Jewish, Christian Freemasons. Well, I mean, I would say even beyond that, there's just a lot of Hermetic philosophy in a lot of different orders. Um, that's just kind of the nature of these kind of groups which have a more philosophical bent. We do not worship demons, which I don't mind, James. I'm happy they ask these questions. I mean, if they are going to ask, if they are going to, um, if they are going to put out those type of sensationalized videos, then it's my responsibility as a Mason to put out the correct and positive view of Freemasonry. I am a Freemason. My name is Cameron. Rashida Sina, welcome. Thank you for being here. I hope you hit the like button. I hope you hit the subscribe button. And thank you for joining. Yeah, I remember you. It's weird, again, getting asked to join. Being Catholic, again, you can join as a Catholic. The Catholic Church may disapprove, but we in Freemasonry will welcome you. When it comes to Freemasonry, I wouldn't say it's practically, I'd say it's a major part of the philosophy of Western civilization, but it's not exclusive to that. There are many others. Is correct always positive? Well, correct is always positive in a technical sense, right? As in, like if you want to define positive as towards the proper direction, right? But it can be more negative in its tone. So if somebody's walking towards a cliff, and I yell, hey, stop moving, stupid, you're going to fall off the cliff. That might not be the most positive way to put it, but it's positive in the sense that it has a better outcome or a more positive outcome. Um, that is a huge problem, Callum Skinner. Callum, please hit like and subscribe. That is a huge problem, right? And that's something I always say. A lot of people come on these streams and will say, I'm a Freemason, or I saw something on YouTube about Freemasonry. My first answer is, how do you know that they were Freemasons, or what they said, that they were not part of a clandestine lodge? That's one thing I'm always recommending to newer Masons, just because even if it comes down to somebody having a ring, right? Like, as much as I wish it wasn't the case, um, you can buy rings like this at pawn shops. You can buy rings like this at jewelry stores. So don't assume just because someone has a ring that they're automatically, oh, geez, there we go. Don't assume that they're automatically Freemasons. That's not the case. You still have to do your due diligence. Luke, why would you say all clubs and organizations are for weak men? I don't believe you, but I'm curious as to where you got that idea. And thank you for being here nonetheless. Raven is absolutely right. But even then, when they say to consult an authentic Mason, a good way to know if they're an authentic Mason is ask them to which Grand Lodge they are affiliated, and then look that Grand Lodge up online, because that's a good way to test it. You do that, Captain Blackbird. You do you. I don't. I'm trying to think to what you're referring. I'm not sure what the city of Amentai is. I think it's Egyptian, right? It's like Hades. Um, Looks like we got another group of people joining Captain Blackbird's club. Here it is. I started this thing to talk about Freemasonry, and I've started another Masonic club, or another club instead. That is fine. You join Captain Blackbird's club. I'm sure it's going to be awesome. I would join it, but I'm very busy with my Masonic clubs already, so I don't have the time to be joining any other clubs. You are a cult of personality, Captain Blackbird, so good job. Keep up the good work. Well, at least you were polite, Stephen. That's a good thing. Must be a wrestling fan. Must be a CM Punk fan. What, like Judas? This is taking on religious undertones. See, he's the Judas. I keep on coming across on my stream, on my YouTube stream, a bunch of chosen videos, looks like clips, which I believe is a mini series about Jesus, like historical mini series. To its credit, seems pretty good. Um, so you'll deny him 3 times? Well, Freemasonry is definitely biased against atheists. Member. However, the term supreme being it tends to be so liberally defined that probably people who would normally be considered atheists in a religious sense can join. The reason why, though, is, well, there's a couple of reasons. Tradition is part of it. But the main reason is there's this idea when you're taking Masonic oaths that in order for the oath to mean something, you need to be swearing to something above yourself. The reason why in court, for example, um, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. The idea was, if you just say I'll do it, it won't mean as much to your heart. If you say you'll do it, so help me God, it's a way for your conscience to be pricked because now you're swearing to something above yourself. And the eye of the providence, that thing will always see you. So that's where the idea comes from. It makes the oaths you take more meaningful, um, or an architect per se. Lucky, I believe in a supreme being. I don't like to use the term God because God has religious undertones. I prefer to use the term supreme being. Um, yeah, you're. It's. I mean, they're doing a good job to their credit. Um, the world. I've heard about this police scandal. My attitude towards that is I am no issue with police having to disclose if they're a member of Masonic Lodge, so long as that disclosure includes they have to mention they're a member of any other civic and fraternal organizations. I think the danger is when you single out Freemasonry, that's not good. But if you say any group, that's okay. Um, yeah, supreme being, that's the term. It's an enlightenment term meant to be universal and encompassing of all different religious faiths and different beliefs. Welcome. If you're just joining us, please take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button. I'm going to start talking now about Freemasonry and customer service. Now, Freemasonry does not have customers per se, at least not the way you and I would think about having customers. It does, however, need to interact with members of the public who have questions about Freemasonry. It does also need to interact with its own membership in the sense of assisting them with Masonic questions, Masonic challenges they are having. You are not blocked, Lon. You're still here. Um, well, I don't know if you have negative energy or not. Swas. I don't know if there's supposed to be an A on the end of that, which might have more negative energy. I don't know. But I cannot tell you if you have negative energy or not. All I can tell you is you should hit the like and subscribe button. Beyond that, I cannot help you. Because I do not read energies. I don't believe in reading energies, to be honest. Wonderful. I hope that he can join my stream at some point and hit the like and subscribe button while he's at it. Um, Good, Raven. That's very good of you. Well, joining Freemasonry, it's the age old to be one, ask one. You need to find a Masonic lodge within your area and talk to them. Don't think about rising in the ranks of Freemasonry because it's not really how it works. Just think about wanting to be part of a group or a club that makes the world a better place. Start there and then move forward from that point, um, is what I would say. But welcome, Spirit. I mean, if I knew where you're from, I could maybe tell you where the Masonic lodges are within your area. The big G like this. Oof. That's the big G. So 17, I'm going to use this 17 essential customer service tips. One, show empathy. We in Freemasonry, I think we need to show empathy in two ways. We need to show empathy both to those who are non-Masons who have negative views of Freemasonry, right? I think one of the biggest mistakes that we make is somebody comes, I deal with it here, right? Somebody has negative views of Freemasonry, thinks that we're devil worshippers or satanic or evil or bad or even some worse things than that, if you can believe it. And instead of trying to be empathetic and asking, how do they come across these ideas? You cannot, or you should not, Gandalf, except by their consent through democracy. Um, if somebody comes on my stream and says, Freemasons are worshiping the devil, and I respond with, well, you're an idiot, that's not being very empathetic. That's not going to get them to change their opinion, and that's not going to get other people who have the same opinion to change, right? You need to be empathetic and recognize people come to understandings of things in a lot of different ways and a lot of different forms. And we need to be empathetic to how and why they may have these beliefs and empathetic in responding to those beliefs. So instead of saying, um, you know, you're wrong and you're an idiot, you can say something to the effect of, I can understand that there's a lot of misinformation or incorrect information about Freemasonry, and a lot of it seems very accurate. How did you come across your conclusion? Right? You need to, well, Gandalf, that's not okay. What is okay is hitting like and subscribe, and thank you for being here nonetheless. It's about being empathetic and recognizing if you're not a Freemason and you come across a YouTube video that says Freemasons are satanic, how will you know otherwise, right? If anything, it's our fault as Freemasons for not doing more to be on YouTube and to fight back against those views. So we need to take some responsibility for that, right? So we need to be empathetic. There is not, Gandalf, there is not. And yeah, as Captain Blackbird says, we need to be empathetic to the fact that sometimes different artists will incorporate Masonic symbolism, not even knowing what it means half the time, into their music videos or into their songs as a way to get eyeballs to it. Because it's a kind of a cheat code, right? People kind of have on some level seen those symbols before, they have interest in them, so they're more likely to keep on checking them out, right? And then we need to be empathetic to brethren who are struggling within the craft. They're trying to do their work well, they're trying to get the memorization down, but they're just not succeeding. We need to be empathetic towards that as well. I agree, James, but a lot of people think it is. We have to be empathetic to that. As Gandalf says, it will attract all kinds of rumors. Use positive language. So again, within Freemasonry, instead of always focusing on what we can't do, what can we do? If we say we can't have a degree right now because we don't have membership, but we can have some mentoring nights to get our proficiencies up, to get our degree done, right? It's about using positive language. Communicate clearly. Miscommunication is one of the biggest drivers of frustration. We in our membership and with our lodges want to be clearly communicating our goals, our designs, our plans, and within Freemasonry, the dates and times and events that we're holding Masonic functions. The worst thing we can do is give people incorrect dates and times. Know your product and services. We need, as Freemasons, to know about Freemasonry. We need to know what it is, how it operates. We're not going to know everything. It's impossible to know everything. But we can know the basics. And if we know the basics, that gives us the edge when communicating with people who either don't like Freemasonry or are trying to grow within their Masonic advancements. So far, Spirit, not the case. I've not heard anything new yet, but I'm asking people, and if anybody hears anything, please let me know. Gandalf. Why has it been secretive historically? That's a very good question, Gandalf. And it kind of goes to demonstrate a very kind of significant misconception about Freemasonry. Historically, Freemasonry was actually not that secret. If you go back in our records and you even check out newspapers and news reports from various parts in our history, you will see that Freemasonry was actually very well known, very involved in the community, very public. When the Windsor Masonic Temple was built, thousands of people came to see it being built. They came to see the Masons who were there doing the groundbreaking ceremonies. They had an entire 2 pages in the local newspaper with pictures of Masons, discussions of Freemasonry, discussions of the Masonic building. It was pretty incredible to see, to be honest, how open it was. It became secretive in the 40s and 50s for a few different reasons. First, in Europe, there was a hangover, if you want to use that term, from uh, the Nazi Party and other um, groups, fascist groups, dictators targeting Freemasonry. Right, Freemasons were actually placed into concentration camps in World War II, and so as a consequence of that, a lot of Masons chose to keep their Masonic affiliations secret. I mean, in Germany, you had to, as well as in Italy, as well as under Franco. The Soviet Union outlawed Freemasonry, so any Masonic lodges had to be kept secretive as well. Um, and so even after that was changed, and after the victory of the Allies, there was still a lot of residual fear that never really went away. Also, men in, for example, America after Vietnam became seriously disillusioned with the idea of institutions um, of any sort, and Freemasonry felt it had to kind of retreat from the public eye for that reason. However, I think it was honestly the biggest mistake that we in Freemasonry made was focusing more on secrecy and not focusing on being forefront in what we are and why we care about Freemasonry and the benefits. Ultimately, choosing to retreat, and also some Masons talked up the secrecy of it as a way to make it seem more mysterious, make themselves seem more cool. It doesn't actually work. It did not make things any better. Yes, Raven, that's exactly the case. It was about 1634 that they changed the rules. Um, no, we cannot summon different beings. We cannot even summon our members to show up to meetings half the time. Swastik, please hit like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And thank you for being here. Um, yes, Gandalf, it was originally a trade union. It was originally a guild. And that was the other reason that Freemasons have this understanding of secrecy. It was about protecting trade secrets, right? If you were a stonemason, you wanted to protect your trade secrets as a way to protect your profession, to make sure you could still charge decent rates and make sure people were being properly trained. It was almost like kayfabe in professional wrestling in some ways. Um, why do Freemasons have an obsession with ancient Egypt? I don't know if you have an obsession with it, but ancient Egyptian mythology does appear in many Masonic rituals. The reason is when the rituals are being developed, the people at the time had an obsession with Egypt because society had an obsession with Egypt. Go to the British Museum, they have whole sections and millions of artifacts probably dedicated to ancient Egypt because the English explorers would travel to ancient Egypt and borrow, confiscate, steal Egyptian artifacts because it was one of those kind of things that the people at the time just loved. Um, it's the same reason why a lot of spiritualism kind of made its way or infiltrated into Freemasonry in the early 19th century, because Masons like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle were so huge into mysticism and spirituality. Um, that is true. I mean, Egypt and stonemasonry were vitally important when it came to that stuff. You're not wrong. You're not wrong by any means. I mean, it's incredible to see how vital stone was to technological advancement. Um, Gandalf, you are strange. Focus on first call resolution. Don't try to make it so they have to call back over and over again to get a result. Within Freemasonry, if they have to call 4 or 5 times to try to get contact with somebody to join Freemasonry, are they likely to still want to join? They should be able to get a resolution on their first call, and in that case, it means set up an appointment or a meeting on their first call. Um, Set proper expectations. That's a big thing for Freemasonry. Don't promise things you can't deliver to your Masonic brethren or to your applicants. Don't promise them that they'll be a Freemason in 10 10 days after putting in their application, don't promise them that they'll get more than they think. If anything, maybe under promise and over deliver. Yes, max intensity, gays are allowed. Personalize the customer experience, personalize the Masonic experience, make the Masonic experience personalized to the individual. One of the worst things that we can do within Freemasonry is not create a personalized experience. Let's say you, as a Freemason, really love history. You love studying history. It's not, Raven. That's the point. Don't set unrealistic expectations. If you love, let's say, history, ask that Mason to do some historical research and present upon it. You can customize that experience for them, make the Masonic experience their own. Let's say they love social events, do that. However it is you want to do it, make sure it works for them, right? One of the worst things we can do is try to create a cookie cutter Masonic experience. They're not going to enjoy it. Anticipate customer needs, anticipate Masonic needs. What do you think your Mason is going to need? What do you think your applicant is going to need? When I joined, I'm in a wheelchair. They took the time to think about what will be needed for me to create an active, to be an active part of the lodge. Share thoughts with your brothers. Absolutely. What do I need to have a successful Masonic experience? We are not a subgroup of the Illuminati. The Illuminati don't really exist. That's a myth. They existed in 1777. They were created by a former Freemason, but then it really has died out in the early 19th centuries. By the way, Swastik, have you hit that like and subscribe button yet? I hope that you have. Well, they existed around many different locations, but they were disbanded. No, because they were a separate group. I mean, if I decided to start Cameron's Illuminati organization, it wouldn't be a subgroup of Freemasonry, even though I'm a Freemason. It would be a separate group altogether. In the same way, the Future Farmers of America was started by 4 Freemasons. It's not a Masonic subgroup. You should super dab, but you can also join my Patreon. That'd be much more appreciative. Be proactive with retention. I've talked about this a million times. You need to be proactive with retention. Waiting until a customer is angry or leaving is too late. Waiting until a member is angry and leaving is too late. You need to outreach to them in advance. We have baseball teams, AL the back. We have a few baseball teams. I don't know anything about the New World Order other than I don't believe it exists, unless you want to talk about professional wrestling, in which case DX is better than New World Order. And you can quote me on that. Go the extra mile. Exceeding expectations doesn't have to mean no worries, Super Dab. Just like and subscribe, share this stream. That's perfectly fine. We do not, Lon. Well, maybe some maybe do. I have no idea. Never has it came up. Yeah, Degeneration X. Break it down. Take customer feedback. Ask your membership what their experience has been like, what they want to make better, what they think will be made worse. That's a huge element of it. One of the biggest challenges, and I experienced this, if I'm the worshipful master, I don't always want to take feedback, especially if the feedback is negative. Well, I can't because of the camera, super dab. I want to have positive feedback only, but it is really important that I be willing to take the negative feedback. Neither swastik. Freemasonry is not a political organization. Neither is Judaism or being Jewish. Freemasonry is not about power, nor to my understanding is Judaism. One is a religious type of belief as well as Jewishness as an ethnicity. The other is a civic and social group. Neither is about power. I will not eel for real because it is a vulgar word, and I don't believe in being vulgar. Embrace continuous learning. We in Freemasonry are called upon to make a daily advancement in Masonic knowledge. I think we need to do that and embrace that as part of our customer service. The more we know about Freemasonry, the more we've learned about Freemasonry, the better, the better we can embrace serving others. That is definitely not the case, Swastik. I know that is not the case. I understand some people believe that to be the case for various reasons. However, um, that is not, in my opinion, the case. I've never seen it. As a Mason for 20 years, who's attended over 1,000 Masonic events in 5 different countries, I can genuinely say that that has not been the case. Um, Again, if it was, even if you want to say, well, they're hiding it from me, I mean, how successful could they be at hiding it from me if I'm showing up to meetings in the Philippines, in Rio, in um, Chicago, Illinois, and not seeing any of it? Do you know what I mean? It just doesn't seem very likely to me that that would be the case. Who are the real Freemasons, and why have I never met any of these real Freemasons? Um, right? That to me is the point. If I had joined Freemasonry, went to a meeting every, let's say 3 or 4 months, or once or twice a year, never came back out, then I could understand people believing that I was having the wool pulled over my eyes. The fact that I've been to, like I said, over 1,000 meetings, the fact that I've attended meetings around the world, and I've never seen any reptilians, for example, or any other special Freemasons, it makes me highly doubt this question or this idea, right? I feel like how could you hide that from me when, especially because I'm not always telling people I'm going to show up. It's not as though at every meeting I've given them advance notice so they can hide the truth from me. When I went to Masonic meetings in the Philippines, or actually sorry, in Rio de Janeiro, they didn't necessarily know I was coming. Um, that's true. There is no ultimate God for Freemasons. That's not how it works. Freemasonry um, welcomes men and women, but men of all different beliefs, religious or otherwise. Every Mason has to come to their own understanding of the Supreme Being. Freemasonry is not a religion. Um, BUG, please hit like and subscribe. Boog. I might be a reptile, but if I was a reptile, would I tell you I was a reptile? That's the point. That's the question you have to be willing to ask. Because being a reptile, I do prefer it to be cold, and that's not reptilian, right? So maybe I'm not. Jake, I do not, but I want you to like and subscribe button. Oh, and Eels put on his tinfoil hat. There we go. This is it. This is troublesome. And no, the queen was not a reptile. Celebrate success. Recognition strengthens morale and reinforces positive habit. If your employees feel appreciated, they naturally deliver better service. If our Masonic brethren feel appreciated, they'll naturally deliver better service. Invest in customer service skills. Strong customer service requires more than product knowledge. You need to be able to handle conflict, solve problems, and explain solutions clearly. We in Freemasonry, there's going to be debates. There's going to be challenges. That is human nature, and that's okay. Nonetheless, we need to be able to solve those problems and know how to solve the problems. Jake, I'll let you hit the like button a little bit. Leverage technology. One of the biggest challenges within Freemasonry, because it is such a traditional organization, is leveraging technology. We are getting better at it, but we need to continue to get better at leveraging technology. We need to understand how to use technology to respond both to non-Masons and Masons. I hope that this stream is an example of me leveraging technology to make things better for those within Freemasonry as well as outside of Freemasonry and to learn more about it, right? But I can tell you, even this, Masons have been very hesitant to embrace even going onto YouTube. If I taught you them, they wouldn't be secret. To be one, ask one. Look at joining. All right, Jake. I don't like to do this, but I think I have to put you in timeout. And where is it? Tracking customer service. We need to be willing and able to track what we're doing within customer service, Masonic service. Are we tracking how people feel about Freemasonry, how they're responding to Freemasonry, what they consider important within Freemasonry, right? All of that stuff matters a lot. One of the biggest mistakes we have is we don't keep track of, for example, after a Mason contacts us, how quickly do we respond? Well, I don't have anything to do with the Mormon Church. The founder of Mormonism, Joseph Smith, was a Freemason, and it is said, I'm not a Mormon, so I can't say for sure, but it is said that he borrowed many Masonic ideas when developing the church. But as not a Mormon myself, I can't say for sure. What I can say is it's very common when Masons, when someone is creating a new organization, if they are a Freemason, to borrow Masonic philosophies or structures. Again, the one I go back to all the time is the Future Farmers of America. You're rubbing your eye, that means you're lying. Maybe it means my eye is itchy. Heavenly Princess. I think someone's been putting a little bit too much emphasis on body language. Nonetheless, welcome back, Princess 7. It's good to have you join once again. Sent by whom? I don't know, Lon. I think more was a racial term, I think, for black people in medieval Europe, but I don't know for sure. Sent by whom? Because I can assure you, most Masons would rather us not be on YouTube, trying to get us to be more open. And honest and more ubiquitous on social media has not been very easy. So keep that in mind. But Heavenly Princess, I still hope you'll hit the like button, and I still hope you'll hit the subscribe button. I am not a 33rd degree Mason. I'm an 18th degree Mason. Well, I'm a 3rd degree Master Mason. That's what matters. And then I'm 18th degree Scottish Rite. Raven, that's part of being within, that's part of being in a, online, right? If you are going to be online, if you're going to be on YouTube, part of what you need to understand is you're going to deal with people who don't know what they're talking about or have got very incorrect information or are not interested in a dialogue. And that's okay, right? I don't mind that. You can't blame people if they're not Freemasons from having incorrect ideas about it based on what they've seen. And we as Freemasons need to take some responsibility for, if we're not going to be online and not going to be ubiquitous online, then of course the anti-Masonic voices or the incorrect information is going to get the louder kind of, is going to take up more space within the internet or the internets. Reverse image. I am very intelligent. You should hit the like and subscribe button. I got a big head. I know. What can I do? Heavenly Princess, when you say what do the degrees mean? So the degrees reference the stonemason guilds of the 15th century. from which we evolved, right? The stonemason guilds. Um, you have your entered apprentice degree, your fellow craft degree, and your master mason degree. Those are the three degrees that you go through and you need to go through to become an officer. And really, at that point, you've become a mason, and you're at the highest degree you can get. Is your third degree master mason. If I'm a third degree master mason, I'm sitting next to a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Mason. That 33rd degree Scottish Rite Mason has no more authority or no more power in the lodge than I do. In fact, welcome Spartan Fuel. In fact, I was recently at a meeting where you had seven Masons. One was a 33rd degree, the rest were not. The 33rd degree voted one way on a motion, and every other Mason voted the other way, and the motion passed. Being a 33rd did not give him any extra authority or power, right? Um, I like Raven. He's a great part of the group and the audience. However, when we talk about 18th degree, 33rd degrees, whatever it is, what we mean by that is um, after you become a Master Mason, you can join appendant bodies. You can join Scottish Rite or York Rite or even Shrine. They have their own separate degree system within them. And you take those degrees to learn more about Freemasonry, to learn more about your knowledge of Freemasonry. However, it doesn't give you any more authority within the lodge or make you more of a Mason. The example I often use, um, uh, Princess, is I graduated law school, right? When I graduated law school, I was equal to every other law school graduate. We're all lawyers. Now, if I, went into real estate law, I'd have to take real estate courses afterwards. I'd have to also join the real estate board. If I went into family law, I have to take family courses after. The family lawyer is not more of a lawyer than the real estate lawyer, nor is he more than the lawyer who doesn't practice. They're all lawyers with different specialties. Freemasonry and the appendant bodies are the same way. Spartan, by the way, Spartan Fuel, please hit the like and subscribe button. We do not get funding from anywhere other than from our ourselves. We are a self-funded organization. We fund through dues. Sometimes members will give, donations to the lodge to help support it, or even give some money to it in its will. But we fund our day-to-day operations through our dues. Buildings can apply for grants depending on what's offered to make the buildings more energy efficient or accessible. There's lots of different ways that we can do it. But it is at its core a self-funded organization. No, they are not, Nate. Jewish people are not bad, nor are Muslims, nor are Christians. That is some prejudiced statements right there, which is not cool. RK, why tell you again? You've already heard the story once. Well, that's the opposite. That's us funding others, which we do very often. We help fund many charitable organizations and charitable causes, both Freemasons and the Shrine, which is a order within Freemasonry. Um, yeah, this emblem right here. Nate says hell. Well, Nate, I still hope you hit the like and subscribe button. But one of the things I love about Freemasonry is its welcoming of all different faiths and beliefs. Um, I mean, I can't speak to Islam, but most of the Freemasons I know, all of the Freemasons I know are either married to one person or single. So I would say no. Freemason has nothing to do with someone's personal life or their marriage, but I've certainly never met any Freemasons who have multiple wives or who even express interest in um, multiple wives. When you say that, Nate, first of all, why would you say that? My implication is, in your mind, being a Jewish person is a bad thing. So why would you believe that? And why would you believe that if I was Jewish, I would feel the need to disguise it? Um, okay, I've never met anybody with more than one wife, so I can't say. Right, I mean, yeah, I've never met anybody with more than one wife. It seems to me, isn't it illegal? Like one thing Freemasons need to do is believe in and follow and comply with the laws of the country in which they're located. I think having multiple wives is illegal in Canada and the States. So if you were a Mason and you had multiple wives, you'd be in contradiction of what it means to be a Freemason. Um, Tell us about the compass, please. Well, technically it's the compasses, um, not compass, right? Technically it's compasses, although I say square and compass promotions. I can talk about why I chose to use the term compass. Obviously, they derived from the stone masonry guilds and their working tools. Pretty much all Masonic symbolism, in some way or another, derives from stone masonry guilds. Even, these three here. Uh, this is past master's jewel. You even see math over here, right? Um, Really what it means now in 2025 is it's the idea of reminding us to keep within kind of due bounds of our brethren and the world. To not, if you think of the compasses, right, it's not about going too far to one side or the other away from what we understand to be, the law and moral good, but to keep within due bounds of right and wrong. Um, I mean, metaphorically, I use them every day. Literally, back when I was in school for math class, I used it, but that was many years ago. So I'm the worst at math. Um, I am by far, you do not want me building anything. You don't want me drawing anything. Believe me, you do not want me doing any of that stuff. I wish I did, though. I do not know what the triad claw is to which you're referring. I never heard that before. We may or may not have grips within Freemasonry. I'm not going to share whether we do or not. I'll say we have modes of recognition which date back to stonemason guilds and is a reflection of their efforts to preserve their trade secrets. Those are called the modes of recognition, and those are not things I share on the stream. I've never came across or heard or seen the word 666 within Freemasonry. Um, so there are other numbers that are important within Freemasonry. I mean, Freemasonry, you could argue Freemasonry has a numbers are very relevant to Freemasonry because numbers reflect Euclid and reflect Pythagoras and reflect geometry. I think you've been seeing some stuff that's not correct, Heavenly Princess. I think you've been seeing some stuff online that's not correct. Now, keep in mind, I'm not a member of York Rite, but I've never heard of that symbol before. Euclid is the father of geometry. Euclid is the father of geometry from ancient Greece around 300 BC, if I recall correctly. I could be mistaken about the date, but he is considered the father of geometry, and in that sense, the father of Freemasonry, or at least the father of Masonry, right? Also, I could argue that his geometric principles help us better understand morality and what it means to be moral. Well, Pythagoras came slightly before him. I got to figure out if I can remember. hold on just one sec. When he was. Pythagoras was, I think he was actually slightly before Euclid. 570 to 495. Yeah. Well, there are many signs within Freemasonry, otherwise known as modes of recognition. Well, he's not literally, but you could argue metaphorically he is. I would say math is, geometry especially, is the fundamental kind of father of stonemasonry and then Freemasonry as a consequence. Because Freemasonry evolved from stonemasonry and stonemasonry evolved from geometry. If you want to build a pyramid, you better know geometric principles to make sure the pyramid is square. Otherwise, the pharaoh might have some things to say to you, right? You can learn more about that through the Regius poem as well. So I'll keep that in mind. Not stoned masonry, stone masonry. Sure, that's what we did. Good to see you, Christopher. I'm doing well. How are you doing? Thank you for being here. Well, they say the language of the universe is math. I mean, I got my math on here. I don't know if you can see that. It's no, it's reversed. It's special theory, relativity, and entropy. I am a ruler of nothing. I barely can rule myself. I hope everybody's doing well. If you are new to the stream, please do not forget to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. I would truly, truly appreciate it. Follow me on Patreon, patreon.com/squareandcompass. Follow me on YouTube on Twitter, X, all that jazz. I would say kindness is a universal language. That is absolutely the case. Kindness is a major universal language. It's probably the most important universal language. All right, let's give it another, let's say 15 minutes, then I'll end this stream. I will also be doing another Medium article about customer service and Freemasonry. So please make sure to check that out. I want to thank everybody who's been here so far. Don't forget, we in Freemasonry need to keep in mind how we're interacting with our membership and the public. And we can take skills and knowledge from customer service for that purpose. There are no head priests within Freemasonry because Freemasonry is not a religion. We have chaplains. However, that is not to say that we are ourselves religious and have head priests. And the chaplains are not meant to be a particular religious denomination per se. Well, E equals MC squared is not the actual full is not the actual full equation, right? If I recall correctly, it goes. I used to know this. It was E squared equals PC squared plus MC squared, and then squared again, if I recall correctly. Crown Royal. Crown Royal is from Windsor, so it's significant to us in Windsor, that's for sure. Never heard of Baphomet. He's never come up in any of my Masonic events. That's a conspiracy theory from the 1920s and 30s, really. Even the Eastern Star symbol, people say it's meant to be represent Baphomet somehow, but it is not. So, well, Raven, that's okay. I don't drink anything, so except water and Coke and coffee and all that. So I can't judge you, but you should support whiskey, hence, because it is Canadian. Crown Royal because it is Windsor. Go Windsor. Well, no, Einstein said the full equation. People just shorten it to equals mc squared for the purposes of teaching and explanation. But Einstein gave the full quote, or the full equation. I forget when it was. And also, it doesn't need to be equals mc squared if you set c at 1. Then it's just E equals m. Yes, Leo Taxil also caused that to take off, unfortunately. And I mean, the Catholic Church did unfortunately fall for a lot of it, but what can you do? Although well, I mean, I've never played Diablo, but I'm sure it's fun to play. I mean, you could call me a maple troll, I guess. I love Canada, by the way, and I love talking about it. I've always said Canada's the greatest country in the world, partially because we have the greatest neighbors in the world. I do love the United States very much. Even with what's happening today, I still love America, even with some of the concerns. Which was why I was asking about if any of the troop deployments, National Guard deployments, have been, um, in or around Masonic buildings. Well, I mean, it was Pythagoras first, and then Euclid, made it famous. When you say calculation of angles, yeah, you mean a squared plus b squared equals c squared, right? That's how you calculate angles. So, well, the Freemason, obviously, because we're awesome. Um, I mean, Canadian American, and especially in World War One and World War Two, were incredible allies, even in Korea. And there were even many Canadians who served in Vietnam. How do you measure a circle? Do you mean the circumference? Do you mean the diameter? Or do you mean the area? Right? I mean, what is it? C equals 3.14 times the diameter. Um, the area is pi r squared. So I know that one as well. Um, but again, it's been a long time since math class. So been a long, long time since I've taken math class. So for heaven's sakes, don't rely upon me for any of that stuff. There are no sermons within Freemasonry, right? Because Freemasonry is not a religion. So there can be lectures about different Masonic topics, but sometimes it could be about math, but it could be about Masonic history, some prominent Freemasons, the history of the lodge, social events. I mean, Masonic education can be a very broad topic. That's what makes it so special. Well, if you just draw, two or three diameters, like lines from one area to another with at least two with a ruler, you should find the center, I would think. And welcome to everybody who's joining us. Please, please, please take a moment to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We've got another couple minutes on this one. Then I'll be back at 1 a.m. and I hope to see everybody there once again. Please like and share this stream as well with people. Sure, I'm pretty busy, but shoot me off a text. Let me know what's going on. Um, 15, I know, right? Hey, I've had more viewers on, but 15 is still wonderful and truly appreciated. It's been fun. Like I said, I'll be writing something on Medium about customer service and Freemasonry. Um, well, I mean, just shoot me off the text and I'll see what I can do. I can't make any promises about anything, but or shoot me off a message on Discord and I'll see what I can do. But I can't make any promises. That is true. Or when you do the thing that you love, Spartan Fuel. But I think, honestly, I would rephrase that. I think even if there is something you love, it's still work. I mean, I love Freemasonry, but don't get me wrong, it's still work. It's still a lot of work. There's still a lot of time and effort that goes into work. Well, Super Dab, I have a Discord too. Let me share you with that. I think we as Freemasons need to be honest about that. We need to be honest with people that there is a lot of work that goes into being a Freemason. It's not just all fun and games, right? One of our biggest mistakes I think we made is we focused on the fun parts of it. We didn't focus on how much work it takes, or how much work we need to do when it comes to creating a successful lodge experience. All right, let's see. Super Dab, this is my Discord. You can copy and paste that. You should be able to find me there. That's my invitation. Please find me on Discord. But I think you'd also argue hard work. If you're working hard for something, there's some indication you're probably on the right track. It's like in a video game, right? The harder things get, the more likely it means that you are going in the right way, going towards the final boss, going towards your biggest challenge. So just keep on working hard and setting one foot in front of the other. And that's all you can do. Well, not all, but that's true for anything, right? That's true for any group. That's true for any, not everybody on a football team has the same work ethic. You have positive work ethics, balance it out, right? I have not ever read The Babysitter's Club. Is it about a bunch of babysitters who solve crimes or something? right, guys. It's been a very fun stream. I got to write some stuff and get some stuff ready. I will be back on 1 a.m. and I'm going to be writing about my Freemasonry is wonderful. It's not BS. Freemasonry is wonderful. However, like with everything else, the extent to which it is valuable is the extent to which we as Freemasons demonstrate that value and put work into it, right? We have responsibility to make it valuable. At least I hope that is our responsibility. Yes, 1 a.m. Although it's funny, I tend to get a lot of 1 a.m. people on the stream. Maybe Freemasons and even anti-Masons are like me, like to stay up all night. Who knows? Thank you, Reverse Image. Much appreciated. Um, and I hope, as always, I'll see some people on. The 80s had some awesome movies. The 80s was the best time for scary movies, if nothing else. If you're like me and you love horror, then I love 80s slashers. I try to be reverse. I'm not always successful by any means, but I try my best to be intelligent, or at least to recognize my limitations, which I think in many ways is the ultimate form of intelligence. I think we in Freemasonry sometimes need to be willing to both talk about the things we know, but also admit there are many things that we don't know, and that's okay. Um, One of the things I always say is if you ever meet a Mason who says that he knows everything about Freemasonry, then it's 99.999% a scammer because nobody knows everything about Freemasonry. I'd say the same thing about anything, right? If you ever meet anybody who says they know everything about making money, they're probably scamming. Um, I'll talk to you about that next time, Spartan Fuel. All right, guys, thank you all so much. See you all soon. Check out my medium work. Check out everything else. Talk to you all soon. And Raven is absolutely correct. You cannot beat the 80 slashers.